My mother did 3 things for me. 1.
Come then.
She spared my life the day that I was born. Don't. I won't. 2. She paid for my upkeep on her knees and on her back.
Kiss me.
Why?
In celebration of my wickedness.
And 3. She gave me the story I can never tell.
Yeah, the origins were, it was a play that Maura had written for teenagers. And my daughter was doing her GCSEs and she was supposed to be in the play, but she was also in a school play, so we said, you can do one or the other. And she dragged us along to see it because all of her mates were in it. And Neil and I, of course, many, many years ago, I was lucky enough to produce Company of Wolves, which was my first movie. And I've sort of always wanted to do a film like that ever since. And I loved the play. I loved the idea of the play, of the mother-daughter vampire relationship. I hadn't sort of seen that before, and I sort of spoke to Maura about it, and that's how it sort of began. It all began as a play for teenagers, but the play was very different from the movie.
Eleanor's written a story. In her story, she says that she lives with vampires.
And you wanted to do it, why?
Because I liked the script a lot, actually. You know, it was very strange reading. There were so many things in it that were familiar to me from other movies, and you know, the thing that I was most worried about actually was the fact that it was a vampire story. You know, I mean, I love the mother-daughter relationship. I love the fact that it was about a girl who was trying to tell a story for 200 years. I love the weird, messed up, abandoned seaside town. And but I was going, vampires, wait, you know, it's like there's so many of them, and it's like, you know, how can you do this stuff? But I met with Maura and we talked about it, and you know, she was a bit afraid of making it into a generic movie at the time, and I remember saying to her, you can't be afraid of the fact that this is a vampire film. You can't pretend this is not what they are, you know. And you know, let's just try and go for the. I don't mean make it a gross-out horror movie, but you know, make it part of the genre. These people kill people, and you know, there's blood there, and there is all this. Because in the first script, I think you read the first script, did you?
Yeah.
You weren't sure whether it was all in Eleanor's mind or not.
It was very ambiguous,
yeah,
wasn't it?
It was quite ambiguous. And she came up with this concept basically that everybody who reads the story that Eleanor tells, because it's forbidden, they will be killed. Yeah, which I thought that's a great structure for a movie, you know.
My mother lives on human blood and has done for 2 centuries.
Yeah, well, I have to say that I drew a lot on my own experience with my mum and my sister, because I have a kind of similar relationship with my mother. She's more like my sister, and I mother my sister. So I sort of had a mixture of both of those elements, and I very much was inspired by both those relationships with the Eleanor relationship. The protectiveness that I felt from my mum at the same time as that. There's one scene where I say, I know I won't get your respect. And I remember my mum saying that exact line to me once when I was looking disapprovingly at her. And yeah, so I drew from, it kind of came naturally, even though it was a strange relationship, it came naturally to me because of my own experiences.
And Saoirse, from your point of view, I mean, and working with Gemma as well, getting that bond and that dynamic between you as like a mother and daughter.
I think that just kind of came very naturally, you know. I mean, I was saying earlier, and I haven't really thought about it before, but I think that when 2 people or a group of people, when a few people have the same sense of humour, I think it really makes a difference to the dynamic of the group and the relationship that you have with the other cast members. And we kind of got on straight away because we had a laugh with each other. And Sam was the same.
She is an aberration.
We are a brotherhood. There are no women amongst us.
We should not permit her to survive.
Do we steal time?
We buy it. with blood.
Had you, Neil, ever considered returning to the genre after sort of like Interview with the Vampire before this, basically, is what you're asking?
Well, after Interview with the Vampire, Warner Brothers asked me to write a script based on her next novel, The Vampire Lestat. And I wrote it, you know, and I had a blast doing that. It was wonderful, you know, but, you know, Tom Cruise never does sequels, and it would be difficult to get those two guys.
Didn't you do like Mission Impossible?
Yeah, but he owned that, didn't he? That's the difference,
Did he?
you know, yeah. You're right, yeah.
He's done like 4 of those ones.
I know, but he owns the whole thing.
Right,
Do you
okay.
understand what I mean? But anyway, he didn't want to do a sequel to this. He didn't want to put a character in. And so I had a blast doing that, but then I kind of forgot about it, you know. And then the whole Twilight thing happened, which was really strange, you know. I mean, Catherine Hardwicke is a good director, you know. I actually saw the first Twilight movie, and I thought, okay, I can understand this. You know, they've turned the vampire thing into a teen love story where they only kiss and they never have sex and stuff. It's like, okay, I get it in a way, you know what I mean? But beyond that, I don't understand the phenomenon at all. And I think audiences would be forgiven for throwing their eyes to heaven and saying, not another vampire movie, please. But there's something in the genre, and there's something in the metaphor, and there's something in the mythology that is compulsive, you know? And maybe the reason it's been so prevalent for the last 10 years is because audiences want something other than realism, you know what I mean? And they want some sense of myth and fantasy, you know? That's all I'm going to say about that. Okay?
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much, guys. I'm so glad you liked it. The film opens on May the 10th. If you want to go and see it again, please go again. For the time being, thank you, Neil, Gemma, Saoirse, and Stephen. Thank you so much.